Something is happening to Bubba Wallace right now that NASCAR fans cannot stop arguing about. And after Texas Motor Speedway, the backlash just exploded because one minute, Bubba Wallace had a fast car, a legitimate top 10 car, a chance to finally build momentum in a season that desperately needs it. And the next, he's in the wall. His primary car is destroyed. NASCAR sends him to the rear. Fans are calling him overrated again. And suddenly, the entire weekend turns into another controversy surrounding the number 23 team. But here's where this story gets really interesting. Because depending on who you ask, Bubba Wallace either proved exactly why critics don't trust him, or he proved why 23X iRacing might actually be tougher than people realize. And honestly, both sides might be right. Because what happened at Texas was a complete roller coaster, a brutal crash in practice, a NASCAR penalty before the race even started, a backup car thrown together overnight, and then somehow Bubba Wallace drove from 37th all the way into the top 10. So was Texas a disaster, or one of Bubba's most impressive recovery drives of the season? That's what we're breaking down today, because this story is way bigger than one practice wreck. This is about pressure. This is about expectations, and this is about whether Bubba Wallace can finally become the consistent driver that 23X iRacing needs him to be. Let's get into it. Texas Motor Speedway is not a forgiving racetrack. Drivers will tell you that immediately. The place is fast, slick, aggressive, and one tiny mistake can destroy your entire weekend in seconds. And unfortunately for Bubba Wallace, that's exactly what happened. The scary part, before the crash, the number 23 Toyota actually looked fast, really fast. Wallace was showing strong speed in practice. The car looked planted, the lap times were competitive, and for a moment, it actually looked like Bubba might finally have the clean weekend he needed. Then everything went wrong. Entering turns 1 and 2, the rear of the car snapped loose. Bubba tried to save it, tried to correct it, tried to catch the slide before it got too far sideways. Too late. The car backed hard into the outside wall, and immediately the entire weekend changed. Because once 23X iRacing realized the damage was too severe, they had no choice. The backup car had to come out, and under NASCAR rules, that meant Bubba Wallace was officially sent to the rear of the field before the race even began. Some people looked at the crash and said, "Here we go again. Too many mistakes. Fast cars keep getting wasted. Tyler Reddick is carrying 23XI." And honestly, that criticism is not completely unfair, because Bubba Wallace is no longer the underdog rookie trying to survive in Cup. The expectations are different now. He drives for one of the strongest Toyota organizations in NASCAR. He's won races, made the playoffs, and now people expect consistency, not flashes, consistency. That's why this Texas wreck became such a huge talking point, because crashing in practice doesn't just damage the car, it damages the entire race strategy. Now the crew has to work overnight. Now qualifying is ruined. Now the pit stall selection is terrible. Now the driver has to fight traffic all afternoon. One mistake turns into 5 problems instantly. And yet this is where the story flips completely, because despite all the chaos, despite starting 37th, despite driving a backup car, Bubba Wallace fought all the way back to finish inside the top 10. And that changes everything, because now the conversation becomes a lot more complicated. Was the practice wreck bad? Absolutely. But was the recovery impressive? Without question. A lot of drivers would have mentally collapsed after Saturday. Instead, Bubba kept digging, lap after lap, restart after restart, traffic everywhere, and somehow the number 23 team salvaged the weekend. That's a huge deal, especially when you look at how badly this could have gone. Texas easily could have turned into another disaster, finish, another wreck, another terrible points day. Instead, Bubba Wallace quietly drove from near dead last to 9th place. That is not luck, that is speed, and honestly, it might have been one of the toughest drives of his season. But now comes the bigger question, can Bubba stop putting himself in these situations to begin with? Because that is what fans are really debating right now. Nobody doubts the speed anymore. The speed is there. The issue is execution. Can the number 23 team finally put together complete weekends without the drama? No practice crashes, no backup cars, no digging out of holes, no recovery missions, just clean races. Because championship-level teams don't survive on recoveries forever. Eventually, they have to stop creating the problems themselves. And that's why Texas feels so important for Bubba Wallace. Saturday showed the weakness. Sunday showed the fight, the moment Bubba Wallace finally started turning things around. And honestly, the next few weeks could decide which one it becomes. Bubba Wallace is at the center of a massive controversy right now. After one of the biggest wrecks at Talladega Superspeedway, drivers across NASCAR are speaking out, and not all of them are holding back. Some fans are blaming Bubba, some drivers are pointing fingers, and others are saying something even bigger. This crash wasn't just a mistake, it was inevitable, because what started as a typical Talladega race quickly turned into a disaster. 26 cars involved, smoke everywhere, a full-on parking lot on one of the fastest tracks in motorsports. And somehow Carson Hocevar survived it all and walked away with his first Cup Series win. But after the checkered flag, that's when the real story began. Because the drivers didn't just react to the crash, they exposed a much bigger problem. Now, to understand this wreck, you need the full picture. NASCAR tried to change things coming into Talladega. They stretched stage 1 to 98 laps, hoping to reduce fuel saving and create more aggressive racing later. On paper, it sounded good. In reality, Stage 1 turned into the same slow strategy game, drivers saving fuel, running below max pace, waiting. But then, Stage 2 hit, and everything flipped. The field went full throttle. The pack tightened, and within about 10 laps, the entire race exploded. Lap 115, Bubba Wallace is leading for 23x. Racing right behind him, Ross Chastain pushing hard, with Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano lined up in the draft. Then it happens, a massive push from behind Wallace's car snaps loose, slides up the track, clips Cole Custer, then shoots back down across traffic. And just like that, the Big One cars slamming into each other, debris flying. The race red-flagged championship contenders gone in seconds. Now here's where everything gets divided. Fans immediately said Bubba caused it. And, yeah, on replay, it looks that way. He was leading, he got turned, the wreck started with him. But the drivers, they didn't see it that simply. Because inside the cars, the story felt very different. Unstable handling, massive closing speeds, no margin for error, no space between bumpers. One push is all it takes to wipe out half the field. Now listen to how Bubba Wallace handled it. No outrage, no finger pointing. He admitted the car was unstable when being pushed. The hit may have been too aggressive, and they need to be better. He even took responsibility. That matters. Because instead of denying it, he acknowledged both sides. Driver error and car instability. Then came the real insight from the garage. Joey Logano was blunt. He said, "We can't even race each other without wrecking. That's not frustration, that's a warning." He pointed at the cars themselves, round bumpers, unstable rear ends. No clean way to push, his comparison. It's like pushing two basketballs together. Then Ryan Blaney broke it down even deeper. He said cars are pinballing off each other. There's no air gap anymore. Everyone is stacked too tight. And most importantly, there's not really one person to blame. Kyle Larson said he saw it coming from the middle of the pack. That's how unstable things were. William Byron added, "Once the crash starts, you're just trying to survive. No control, no escape." And even Austin Cindric made it clear, these wrecks are often accidental, but the environment makes them unavoidable. Meanwhile, Carson Hocevar stayed clean, stayed patient, and when chaos hit, he capitalized. First career Cup win. Proof that at Talladega, survival is everything. So here's the real answer. Did Bubba Wallace trigger the wreck? Yes. Was he the only reason it happened? Not even close. Because if you listen to the drivers, they're all saying the same thing. The cars are too unstable, the racing is too tight. And once it goes green too aggressive, a crash is almost guaranteed. This isn't just a Bubba Wallace story. This is a NASCAR problem. Something is seriously wrong with Kyle Busch. And what Richard Childress Racing just did behind the scenes? It's sending shockwaves through NASCAR. We're not talking about a bad race. We're talking about a moment that could change the entire future of one of NASCAR's greatest drivers. Because after what just happened, people inside the garage are asking a question nobody dared to ask before: is Kyle Busch running out of time? Let's rewind. When Kyle Busch joined RCR in 2023, it was supposed to be a fresh start. After leaving Joe Gibbs Racing, this was the comeback story. A two-time champion, 200-plus wins across NASCAR's top series, one of the most dominant drivers of his generation. And for a moment it looked like it might actually work. But since then, results have been inconsistent, wins have been scarce, pressure has been building, and now everything is boiling over. Because this latest moment, it wasn't just bad luck, it was a disaster. The engines are roaring, the field is charging, and Busch is trying to find rhythm in the number 8 car. Then suddenly RPM spikes, temperature climbs, engine detonates, just like that, power gone, momentum gone, race over. The car limps to pit road, hood goes up, and what the crew sees: catastrophic engine failure. Not a small issue, not something you bounce back from. This is the kind of failure that kills your race, kills your points, and kills your confidence. And when Busch steps out, you can see it. Not just frustration, something deeper. But here's what fans didn't see: what happened after inside the garage. Because according to reports, the conversation between Busch and RCR leadership, not calm, not quiet, not friendly. Serious questions started flying. Was the engine properly prepared? Is the equipment good enough? Can this team actually compete at a championship level? And here's the thing: Kyle Busch is not the type to stay silent. While all this was happening, RCR made a move that caught people off guard. And suddenly this isn't just about one engine failure anymore. This is about direction. This is about trust. This is about the future. Because when a team starts making moves like this mid-season, something bigger is going on. The internet exploded, fans split into two sides. Busch deserves better equipment. He's not the same driver anymore. And then the wild theories started. Timing felt suspicious. Questions about internal politics. Rumors about deeper issues. Crazy maybe, but in NASCAR, silence usually means there's more beneath the surface. Now let's talk about what this really means. Because this isn't just about one race. ADNF right now, it's huge. Points, lost momentum, gone playoff chances, shaken. But more importantly, it creates doubt. And in racing, doubt spreads fast. Through the driver, through the crew, through the entire team. And now we get to the real issue. Kyle Busch is on a multi-year deal, but NASCAR contracts, they're not always permanent. When results don't match expectations, conversations happen. Quiet ones behind closed